Yo, what's good YouTube? I am back with another reaction video. And we got Scottie Pippen gets destroyed for hating on Michael Jordan. Now I always know Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen always had some kind of thing going on, but I never really looked too much into it. But yeah, let's get straight into the video, y'all. I actually had a couple upload videos that I did, but that YouTube wasn't letting me upload them. Like I had the Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight. I tried to upload it and let me, and I forget it was some other upload I was trying to do also. So we back with this, man. Let's get straight into the video, y'all.
Scottie Pippen duo is regarded as one of the best. The Michael Jordan Scottie Pippen duo is regarded as one of the best duos in NBA history, and some would argue is the pinnacle of what a duo should be. And for two guys who played their entire primes together, won numerous championships, built an NBA dynasty, it is pretty unfortunate all these years later to see both Jordan and Pippen drifting farther and farther apart. And for this Pippen vs. Jordan beef, it's a one-sided affair like you've never seen. As largely Michael Jordan remains positive, compliments Pippen, how impactful he was, how important he was, and how great of a teammate he was in Chicago. Compared to Pippen, who throws mud at Jordan virtually 24/7. And one NBA superstar Hall of Famer who's tired of seeing the Jordan disrespect is Shaquille O'Neal. As recently as Shaq didn't hold back in the slightest, calling Scottie Pippen a Robin. I mean, kinda harsh, but not exactly false. And if you followed the MJ vs. Pippen saga recently, it's taken a sharp left turn in a very weird direction, as Pippen's former wife is dating Michael Jordan's son. For perspective, when MJ and Pippen were teammates for their last championship, Michael Jordan's son wasn't even a teenager. All I'm going to say is that Thanksgiving this year is going to be pretty awkward both the Jordan and the Pippen households. Now, looking back at on-the-court play and Scottie Pippen's comments, he's called Jordan a selfish player, he was only a scorer, and before Pippen got there, MJ was a flat-out loser. Now, of course, these comments, they're rooted in anger, jealousy, and just Pippen being bitter. So, with Pippen really bashing Michael Jordan all the time, I think it's about time Scottie Pippen get a dose of his own medicine. As in this video, we're going to look at Pippen on the second three-peat and just how good he was. As contrary to popular belief, MJ's offensive supporting cast, even defensive supporting cast late on, wasn't as great as you would think. As looking at even Jordan's best team had been the '96 Bulls. When it came to playoffs, if you look back on it, that team wasn't as dominant offensively outside of Jordan. As MJ, he put up his usual stats, averaging 30 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, on very impressive 46-40 and 82 splits. That is typical Michael Jordan in his great play. But looking at the Bulls supporting cast offensively scoring-wise, not known to many, that Bulls team has the 5th lowest scoring average for supporting cast in NBA history. And looking at his two best offensive teammates, he had Scottie Pippen, as well as Tony Kukoc. Pippen averaged 16.9 points per game on sub-40 shooting, and Kukoc 10.8 on also sub-40 shooting. For Jordan's Bulls teammates, Pippen and Kukoc were the only two players in double figures. And pretty embarrassing, both Pippen and Kukoc combined didn't average as many points as Michael Jordan. And one thing I do really want to highlight is a massive drop-off in playoff play compared to the regular season, as Pippen went from 19 points on 46% shooting down to 17 on 39%. And Kukoc very similarly had a massive drop-off, going from 13 points on 49% shooting to 11 points on 39% shooting. The offensive help Jordan had this year in the playoffs wasn't nearly as great as you would think. The one thing this Bulls team did have that was great was Dennis Rodman their defensive anchor, as Dennis this year averaged 13.7 boards on 49% shooting. 96 Dennis, you could argue, was the Bulls' second best player. That's how good he was defensively and on the offensive glass. But sad to note, Dennis that year, I would say, was the last year of his true prime as a great player. As 97, his overall minutes were decreased pretty significantly, going from 34.496 to 28.2 in 1997. And if you look at Jordan 97, much like 96, he was highly consistent and always showed up, averaging 31.1 points, 7.9 boards, 4.8 assists on 46% shooting. For the Bulls that year in the playoffs, he led the team in points, assists, defense rebounds, steals, and blocks. And pretty important to note, he only had one teammate in double figures, that being Scottie Pippen. But just like 96, Pippen's overall shooting was down tremendously. As before the playoffs, he was shooting 47.4%, but in the postseason, only 41.7%. And again, looking at Kukoc, he had a massive playoff drop, going from 13 points per game on 47% shooting, down to 8 points per game on 36% shooting. That's what I'm talking about with these Bulls teams and Jordan's offensive help, as both Pippen and Kukoc were highly inconsistent and not reliable, and the offensive load Jordan had to carry was much more than fans actually realize. And a quick comparison I do want to make is Pippen and Kukoc 97 compared to Wade and Bosh in 2014. As I'm talking about these players, two of these guys are propped up as great playoff guys, and the other two are discredited, downplayed, and even called old or washed. But looking at D. Wade in 2014, actually, he averaged 17.8 points on 50% shooting, and Chris Bosh 14.9 on 50.7% shooting. Comparing 2014 Wade, 2014 Bosh versus 97 Pippen, 97 Kukoc, take your pick of who's better, but I think Wade and Bosh as a supporting cast was actually more help. And looking at the entire Bulls team in 97, in all of NBA history, they have the second lowest supporting cast ever for a championship team. And looking at both Jordan and LeBron's two best teammates, you have Dwayne Wade from 2011 to 2014 versus Pippen from 96-98. If you compare these two players, again, Dwayne Wade is called washed old, while Scottie Pippen is propped up as a great teammate. But D. Wade actually averaged 25-4 on 48% shooting over those 4 years, compared to Pippen, who averaged 18-7-5 on only 41% shooting. And both Pippen and Wade in this time period were in their late 20s, early 30s, and on the back end of their prime. And I think, objectively speaking, Dwayne Wade, at the very least, was better offensively, and I would heavily argue was the better overall number 2 option beside LeBron James compared to Pippen beside Jordan. But the funny thing is, Michael Jordan with Pippen on the back end of his prime went 3-0 in the finals, compared to LeBron with Wade, who went 2-2 and was embarrassed twice on the biggest stage. And looking at Pippen and Jordan's final championship, you have 1998. And I think this year above all else shows Jordan didn't have stacked super teams that were super overwhelming. As even with Pippen missing half the season, the Bulls won 60 plus games and the best record in the East. At that point, Chicago had the oldest roster in the NBA, and their big three were in their mid to late 30s. And looking at Dennis Rodman, he was highly inconsistent with his production on the court as well as off the court. As before the Eastern Conference Finals, he was playing a staggering 41.7 minutes. But in the East Finals, NBA Finals collectively, it was reduced down to only 29.9 minutes. And unlike past years, Dennis, on the offensive end largely, was a negative and not a plus or a neutral. And looking at Jordan, at this point he was 35 and still averaging 32.4 points per game. And for his Bulls supporting cast, there was no teammate above 20 points per game. Meaning Michael Jordan for the entire playoff run was responsible for 34.8% of his Bulls' overall points. That in NBA history for a playoff run ranks second all time behind Jerry West, and for eventual NBA championship runs ranks first by a mile. My overall point of this video is pretty simple. Second three-peat Pippen was kind of overrated and overvalued. As compared to the first three-peat, he wasn't nearly the athlete or defender. And even comparing 96 Pippen to 97-98, in 96, he was a much better overall player, as was defender. As just like Rodman by 98, he was running on fumes, injured, and a shell of himself. And making one last comparison, looking at the NBA Finals. Comparing Scottie Pippen to Dwayne Wade, it's pretty interesting, as Pitt from 96-98 in the NBA Finals averaged 17 points, 8 boards, 6 assists on 39-28 and 77 splits. Again, not bad, but not top 10 level like some people think. As looking at Dwayne Wade, from 2011-2014 in the NBA Finals, he averaged 21 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, on vastly superior 48-32 and 73 splits. Again, it is pretty funny how one of these players is called old and washed and quote-unquote not enough help. But a guy who plays alongside Jordan, shooting below 40% from the field, below 30% from 3, is propped up as this great offensive player who carried Jordan outside of scoring. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.
Alright, y'all, that wraps up that good old video. At the end of the day, I'm going to be all the way flat out honest. I've seen Scottie Pippen play, but I haven't seen him play. I'm going to have to do some highlights on him. I definitely did want to do some highlights on him, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to compare Jordan with Scottie Pippen or Scottie Pippen with Dwayne Wade, I mean, for me, it's clear you could see Dwayne Wade actually had more points, did a few more things better than Scottie Pippen, but I know, I feel like Dwayne Wade has a little bit more movement. I'm guessing if they're talking about certain ages, I think, he's just a little bit more athletic than Scottie Pippen. That's how I feel for Dwayne Wade. But then again, I actually never watched a full game of Scottie Pippen actually play. I've seen highlights of him do certain things, but I've seen Dwayne Wade play. But maybe I had to look up some full games of Scottie Pippen to see what he does. But yeah, but if you're also trying to say that Scottie Pippen is like better than Jordan, hell no, man, not at all. Not even by, you can't even compare those two, really. Like, can't compare Michael Jordan to Scottie Pippen at all, man. I'm sorry, you just can't. Then it's like Scottie Pippen say certain things, but like, if it wasn't for Jordan, like, I don't think y'all even really had those rings, honestly, really, if you really think about it at the end of the day. And then it's just like, if there was no Michael Jordan, would y'all even win? Then it was just Scottie Pippen, would y'all even win 6 rings? Like, would y'all even win even 2 rings, really? I don't think so. But anyway, man, it wraps up this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I tried to be back, but YouTube wouldn't let me upload a couple of videos I was trying to do. I know I got that Jalen Hurts video, ranked number 3. Yes. And it definitely is going to come on. With today is Saturday, so 6:30 now. Doing this video, 6:23. Game comes on at 7 Eastern time. I don't know if anybody's going to catch it. Hopefully you do. If you do catch it, I definitely might be reacting to it. Hopefully, if they let me. Sometimes YouTube's going to let you do certain videos. But yeah, that's about it, man. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that like button. Turn on that bell, man. I'm uploading every single day. And I deeply appreciate all the love and support, y'all. I really do. I'm just trying to get back more. I know I was active on this page, but there's a few uploads I tried to do that I wasn't able to do. But I know this is definitely going to go down. I see I like a lot of uncut hoop videos, so I'm definitely going to do this. So I definitely had to do this one. You can also catch me on my first page, That Philly Boy Nah. You can also catch me on my gaming page if you like gaming at That Philly Boy Nah. That Philly Boy Nah Gaming. But you'll see all my links and everything in the description, so definitely go check it out. I'm different channels, different uploads. But for now, I'm out of here. I love y'all so much. Peace.